Welcome back to For Love of the Mouse. It has been forever since we have been in this room doing a video on this camera, but here we are. And today we are doing a Disney version of 21 Questions.
I need only you in this crazy world.
Before we dive into the questions, let's get the business taken care of. If you're new around here, click that subscribe button down below.
Click that like button if you like what we're doing, and that bell notification so that you can be notified every time we release a video.
And if you're looking for us on any of our social media platforms, the links are down below where you can find us. Also, if you want some food and wine inspired ears, right now, Crystal has some in her Etsy shop, which has the link down below. Also, Crystal has a little blog called fortheloveofthemouse.com. Keeps you up to date on all the breaking news Disney comes out with as soon as we can get it out. Now it is time to dive into 21 Questions Disney version, which is pretty self-explanatory. Last weekend, we put out on our Instagram story, what questions did you want us to answer about Disney? It could be our opinion about something with Disney, or just something we love about Disney. So you guys asked, and now we're going to answer. So let's get started.
All right, question number 1. If you moved to a Disney resort, which resort would it be?
Mine is simple. Wilderness Lodge. I love it. It is my perfect life. It is the Colorado Mountain Lodge that I love, transplanted in Florida where I want to be. It is exactly what I want.
I would say Animal Kingdom. I love Animal Kingdom Lodge, and I could have bread service whenever I wanted, and I would definitely want to have a Savannah View balcony so that we could watch the animals, and we could have our coffee every morning, and I could work from my balcony and watch the giraffes. That'd be perfect for me.
True. But at Wilderness Lodge, we could get a cabin and have more space, whereas at Animal Kingdom, we might kill each other in that little studio.
2-bedroom.
We'll get to that. Which Epcot pavilion would you want to be stuck in?
France. I think it's the prettiest pavilion. I love it, and I love the food.
Okay.
And the slushies.
Fair enough. I will go with the Germany pavilion. I'm German. I want to live in Germany, so why not? And I have all the Bavarian pretzels I want, and I have the Werther's original caramel corn whenever I want it.
And the Schaffenhofen.
And that. Is that the grapefruit beer?
Yeah.
Okay, I just call it the grapefruit beer. I didn't know what it was called. So, there we go. I'll be in Germany, she'll be in France. We just got a few countries in between us.
I'll send U.S. cargo, you send me Schaffenhofen.
The grapefruit beer. All right, number 3.
What is your favorite ride in Disneyland / California Adventure?
So,
I totally know what he's going to say.
well, Disneyland, really the only different rides they have are like the few dark rides and like kiddie rides. So I'll go California Adventure, and I'm going to say Radiator Springs Racers. Now I know everybody's going to be like, oh, Bryson, Epcot is Test Track, which is the same ride system. Correct. Not the same ride. 100% different. If you've never done Radiator Spring Racers, go do it. It is amazing. I like it 500 times more than Test Track, and I hope they put it in Hollywood Studios and get rid of a bunch of stuff they aren't using.
That's really hard for me because I love so many rides there. But I think I'm going to have to go with Haunted Mansion with the overlay, with the Christmas overlay.
Which is crazy because she does not like Nightmare Before Christmas.
That movie.
But she literally, if you've seen those California Adventure Disneyland vlogs we did, we rode that ride so many times.
I was like, let's get a Fast Pass. Let's get a Fast Pass.
Max Pass.
Max Pass.
Max Pass. Every time we could, we got a Max Pass for that ride.
Oh my gosh.
Amazing.
So good.
Check out those videos. It was a fun time in Disneyland.
So much fun. I want to go back.
And we will.
Yeah. Okay, question number 4.
Favorite ride in Disney World?
I really should have picked a different one for Disneyland. No, I'll pick a different one for Disney World. I'm going to throw a curveball because every single person on the face of the earth who's ever gone on it would say the one that I'm not going to say. So I'm going to say Slinky Dog.
Over Flight of Passage.
Yeah, because, well, I love Flight of Passage. Like, Flight of Passage is the most incredible ride besides Rise of the Resistance. But it makes me, I can only do it like once. I don't know. I must be age.
She's getting older. She's getting motion sickness.
I get horrible vertigo when I go on it.
She's old.
I'm old.
She's old.
So I love that ride. There's so many great rides, but I love Slinky Dog, and I could do it over and over and over and over and over.
That is a good ride. I'm going to stay in that park. But I'm going to go with the one she was hinting at that everybody's going to say who's rode it, which is Rise of the Resistance. It is the greatest ride I've ever been on. There's nothing like it. I don't know how anyone's going to top it. I'm sure someone's going to, which it's going to be Disney. Let's face it. It's amazing. Not going to spoil it for you, but it is the closest you will ever get to being in an actual movie without being in the movie.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Love it.
Super cool. And I cried the first time.
Yeah, she did. She did. All right, so moving on here. We are on question number 5.
Which overseas park are you most excited to visit? I know who asked this question.
I'm excited. I want to go to Tokyo Disney Seas. That's probably the park I want to go see the most. As far as like a full trip, I would have to say Disneyland Paris. Just because I want to go to Paris more than I want to go and see everything outside of Tokyo Disney Seas. Just because Paris intrigues me more. Tokyo Disney Seas, if I'm just going to a park, 100% that.
I have the exact same answer. I think Tokyo Disney Seas just looks phenomenal.
And it's so unique.
I've never been to Paris, and so like going on a trip that's included in, that would be more exciting for me personally. But to go to just a Disney space, Disney Seas for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Question number 6.
What is your bucket list DVC resort you would stay at that you haven't stayed at already? I'm assuming.
Yeah. I'm going to change the question. Just because we stayed there, but we just didn't experience it the way it should have been experienced. And so Grand Floridian for me, like we stayed there and it was the most incredible experience. I had such a great time, but we were like rope dropped to fireworks every single day, and we just never really got to really enjoy it and experience it. And we were there, and I think it was chilly, and we didn't get to go to the pool. So I just really want to do that one, and we've stayed there, but I don't think we did it justice. So that's why I'm changing the question, is because we've stayed there, but I don't think we stayed there.
Got it. Okay, that's an approved change. So mine. Somewhere we haven't been. We've been, but not at this resort. I want to stay at Aulani. I don't want to stay at Aulani for like a 10-day Hawaiian trip, but I want to include Aulani in a Hawaiian trip, and we've talked about this. She does too. But I just think it's a whole different type of resort that Disney's done that is nothing like we've stayed at, and that's why I want to stay there. To see Aulani for what it is, there's no park, there's nothing, it's just that. That's what you're going there for, so let's check it out.
Question number 7.
What is your favorite Disney memory together?
I think my favorite Disney memory together would be the first time we were with, and I say this all the time, but we were walking with my cousin and her husband down Main Street, and this was the first time we'd ever gone to Disney together, and just like Bryson's face when he was just like, this is like the details and the cleanliness and the magic, like his face was like, I cried. Just because it was so cool to like see him appreciate it the way that my cousin and I appreciated it before. And I was just like, yep, he's hooked.
Yeah, obviously I am. Mine is something I didn't think would be a memory, but it's the first time we had dinner for our first anniversary as a married couple in California Grill, simply because California Grill is somewhere I'd always wanted to eat, but I didn't know exactly what it was, and the feeling of being in that restaurant overlooking Magic Kingdom, it was just really cool. And like kind of along the same sense, like it was really cool to see like Crystal become a little girl when we were there. Like she's running around asking people to move from their table
politely,
so she can get pictures out the window, and you know, just the sheer excitement to be there. Granted, the food is also amazing, but it's just an experience you can't get anywhere else. And that's why it's one of my greatest memories, is it's our first wedding anniversary together. And that's where we had our dinner, and that's kind of become a tradition where if we're in Disney World for our anniversary, we go to California Grill now. So it's that first time is that memory that sticks out in my head.
And we took a really cool picture. He has a picture in his wallet, and I didn't know he had this picture in his wallet, and it's a Polaroid from our wedding night, and he handed it to me, and I took a picture of it from our table with, I think it has the castle in the background. And it's just a really...
It has Magic Kingdom in the background.
It has Magic Kingdom in the background. And I like always think of that picture every time I think about California Grill. So yeah, I agree. That's really cool. Question number 8.
All right. This one is kind of a three-parter, but not really. It's kind of an order of what you would put things in. So if you are a first-time visitor to Walt Disney World, what would you prioritize? So they gave us 3 choices on how we would put them in order and how we would prioritize them. So they gave us park dining, resort dining, and attractions.
I would, if this was my first trip or someone's first trip, I would prioritize attractions, resort dining, and then park dining.
I would do it exactly like that because park dining, it's okay. There's a few restaurants that are really good in the parks, but most of your really good restaurants are outside of the parks at your resorts, or, I mean, I guess it's still a resort, but at the boardwalk, so places like that. So park dining definitely at the bottom because really quick service is kind of better than your dine-in restaurants.
I have a caveat to that, though, because my caveat would be if you have, like, a little girl or boy who really wants to, like, dine, once character dining comes back, like Dine with the Beast or Dine in Beast Castle, I would be sure to get at least one, either Cinderella's Royal Table or Be Our Guest.
For sure, but definitely, if it's your first time, your attractions are what you're there for. Go do it. Go do the shows, all that stuff. Moving along to question number 9.
What is your favorite DVC resort?
I answered it in number 1, Wilderness Lodge.
I did too. Animal Kingdom Lodge.
Yep.
Where we want to move.
Yep. We're going to split time between Wilderness Lodge, Animal Kingdom. So if anybody's got extra DVC points, we're going to need a lot. So just send them our way. Thank you. I'm joking.
Question number 10.
What is your favorite thing about Disney cruises?
My favorite thing about Disney cruises is that you are completely disconnected. I talk about this all the time on the blog, is that you can buy packages for Wi-Fi. I refuse to do that. Like, even if Bryson does it, that's great. I don't want anything to do with the outside world when we're on a cruise. I love the fact that I can completely unplug. I don't check any social media. I don't post anything on social media. I don't worry about the blog. I don't worry about my job. I don't worry about anything except being on a cruise and disconnecting. And then when we get to port, I'll turn back my phone back on and I'll get bombarded. But I don't want to have any contact with the outside world when we're on a cruise. And that's my favorite part.
She is not joking.
No.
As soon as her phone can die, it dies. And she just takes pictures with it. That's it. My favorite thing about Disney cruises is it's forced relaxation. That was one of the things I loved about our honeymoon, was that it forced me to relax. I don't relax. I just, even when I'm like watching TV, I still have my mind going and I'm still thinking about stuff. Disney cruise, I can't do that. Like, I have to just sit there and stare at the ocean. Like, it's so awesome. Like, I just do. So that's what I mean by forced relaxation, because that's what I'm there for. Question number 11.
Insert your favorite Disney pictures.
So right here is our favorite Disney pictures. All right, hope you enjoyed those pictures.
Question number 12.
If you had kids, which we don't, how old would they be when you take them to Disney?
This is such a loaded question because there's no right answer and there's a
No.
whole lot of wrong answers.
Someone's going to be mad at us no
Yeah.
matter which way we go, but just disclaimer, it's our opinion.
Yeah.
And as we said, or as I just said, we don't have kids. So what do we know?
But we also do get asked this question a lot.
We get asked a lot
A
for not
lot.
having kids.
But I will say, like, I mean, we go to Disney more than a lot of people.
Right.
Anybody, like, in our outside of Disney circle. So people ask us these questions, and this is my thing on it, is it's your money, it's your vacation. You do what you want to do. So if we had kids, and we've actually had this conversation before, if we had kids, I would certainly take them to Disney, because it's not about whether they remember, it's not about that, it's more about experiencing it with them and, like, experiencing the princesses and, like, dressing them up and, like, taking a million photos and that kind of stuff. But I still think that even if we had kids, we would go to Disney, just the two of us, once in a while.
For sure. My answer is very similar to that. I think there's something to be said for living Disney through your child's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
In that same sense, yes, we would go to Disney still, just the two of us. And we know plenty of, a couple we met on our first Disney cruise, they make sure to take a couple Disney cruises and trips without their children so that they still have a couples thing that they do together. But also for me, like, again, it's your money. You spend it however you want. But I want, once my child gets to the age where like they can appreciate what it is, that's when I want to make sure they really, really get the experience and they really get to go. Just because that's what it was for me. Like, I got taken to Disney World. I didn't appreciate what it was. I didn't go back for 10 years. And then I went with my now wife, and now I appreciate what it was. Mm-hmm. So that's what I mean. And that's up to you, the parent, to decide when that is. If it's when they're 6 months old, go when they're 6 months old. Does not matter. It's your money.
Yeah. It's your vacation.
Exactly.
And just also know that, like, just because it works for you doesn't mean it works for other people. You know, everybody's situation is different. We happen to be really fortunate in that if we had kids, we would have built-in system of people who would like be more than happy to take the kids off of our hands so that we could go on a trip. And so we would absolutely do that. We also have a family that would probably be like, let's all go. And right. So we would all do a big family trip to Disney. So we are fortunate to have that, but not everybody has that. So not everybody has the option to not take their children on vacations, and not everybody wants that option. So it really just depends on what you want to do and how you want a vacation.
Moving on, because we spent a lot of time on that one, but that's a big question.
It is a big question, yeah.
So question 13.
Do you think you will ever tire of Disney?
No. And especially after everything that's gone on since March, I know I won't. Because I will never take not being able to go to Disney for granted ever again. Ever. And I literally just answered that for her as well.
Yep.
So
we
had this conversation, like, I think the night we put this on the Instagram story asking for questions, we were talking about this.
We had this conversation 4 weeks into quarantine.
Yes.
That we will never, ever take it for granted, get tired of it, you know, be like, oh, we don't want to do fireworks, or we'll do it next trip. We're going to do it this trip.
Yep.
Question number 14.
Do you have an emotional attachment to any specific things or places in Disney parks?
I have an emotional attachment to the partner statue, just like me personally. I love every time we go to Disney, I always am like, let's go to the partner statue. I always go and take a photo with Walt. It's just something that, I mean, we wouldn't be there without Walt, so I always want to thank him for that. And then also I think that, like, there's various spots throughout the parks and the resorts, too, that, like, have specific memories for us from going. And then I also have, you know, a lot of really great memories going with my family and my mom. There's some really great places, like, all throughout the parks and the resorts that just trigger an emotional feels for me.
Mine... Anytime I'm asked this, it's the same answer. When Tangled comes on and Happily Ever After, I cry. Because I think about Crystal and I, plain and simple, that's it. So, sappy, but it's literally my answer every single time, and it probably always will be. Question number 15.
What is an opinion you have that is an unpopular Disney opinion?
Mine is that Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is just okay. Why I feel that's an unpopular opinion is because look at the wait times. It's rather long. There are many, especially now, better rides in Disney and better roller coasters than Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Time it. Time how long that ride is. Now, the animatronics and everything, phenomenal. But just time how long you waited in that line and how long you were actually on that ride. So there's mine.
I think mine would be that the dining is just okay, that it's just theme park food. I think that there's just a huge misconception, and, you know, I think a lot of people who go to Disney frequently start to understand that Disney has some amazing restaurants, but Disney has some amazing restaurants. If you don't want to eat park food, like theme park food, you don't have to. You can have gourmet meals you're going to spend a lot of money, but you can have gourmet meals at every meal. You can have so many great dining experiences. And I think that a lot of people don't see that. We didn't know that when we first started going together. And we've really grown to appreciate the food at Disney. Question 16.
Do you miss the fireworks or the parades more?
Fireworks.
I'd have to agree, the fireworks. Because they still have, like, the cavalcades, which from what I've seen, I actually think that kind of better. The fireworks, as I said in my earlier answer, like, fireworks have a special meaning to me. So I definitely will miss the fireworks for sure. Question 17.
What has been the biggest challenge or change about planning your upcoming trip?
That we have gotten so used to spontaneity that it's gone. We've kind of had to revert back to when we first started going, where we have to, like, plan everything out that we're going to do because there's no park hopping. So if we go back to the resort and we decide we want to jump over to Epcot and go have dinner at Tepanito, we can't if our reservation wasn't at Epcot. For planners like her, I mean, that's great. But when you're used to just having that spontaneity and it's gone, that's the toughest part, is having to revert back to just the serious planning, making sure you know exactly what you're doing, because once you do it, that's what you got to do. But that's what we have to do right now to enjoy Disney. So that's what we're going to do. Mm-hmm. So no big deal. Just, it is tough to have to go back to doing that after not doing it for 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah, agreed. I was making our dining reservations the other day, and I was like, this is actually really difficult. And it's really difficult for a couple of reasons. One is because there's a lot of dining that's not open.
Yep.
And 2, because a lot of times we will make a dining reservation, like he said, like, we'll be at Hollywood Studios and we'll be like, let's go to Epcot for dinner. Just kind of limits a lot of what we can do. But again, like he said, like, not complaining. It is what it is. We're happy to just be going. But that has made it a lot more difficult for us, especially, he said, for me, because I plan everything down to the outfits I'm going to wear every single day at every single park and when I'm going to change and all of that. We're going to one park. And the park closes early. Yep. So it'll be interesting to see how it works for us, especially with the hours being limited.
Right.
But we're going to make the most of it.
Exactly.
And have a great time.
We're going, and yeah, we're going to be there. And if the park closes early and we just end up sitting in a lobby at a resort, we're still in Disney.
Question number 18.
What is your favorite Disney snack?
Cake Pops. Mickey Short's Cake Pops.
Okay. Mine's simple. The ice cream sundae, not the ice cream sundae that comes in the kitchen, Mickey Pants kitchen sink from the plaza. Just a good old-fashioned ice cream sundae and a waffle cone. And like a waffle bowl. That's it. Love it.
I'm going to have 5.
Cake Pops.
Cake Pops, not ice cream sundaes.
Right. Question number 19.
Did you watch The Mandalorian, and are you both Star Wars fans?
If anybody has watched this channel for any portion of time, or followed us on Instagram, or any of our other platforms, which, like I said, are linked down below, yes, I watched The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian is amazing. I am a huge Star Wars fan. That's all you need to know.
He is such a Star Wars fan. We watched, our friends at Leg Life went on a Star Wars Day at Sea Cruise, and they went to a trivia. And I told Bryson that when we go on a Star Wars Day at Sea Cruise, he has to do the trivia because he would absolutely win. So no pressure.
I'd like to think I would, but I know there is much bigger Star Wars fans out there that know a lot more than me, which is scary.
He knows a lot.
Yes.
And he knows the backstories.
College sports, and Star Wars. Somehow I got a college degree.
We are both Star Wars fans, though. I wasn't until we started dating, until he started talking about it. I appreciate it. I think it's amazing. We went and saw The Rise of Skywalker in the theaters, and that was the first... I don't watch movies, so that was the first movie I'd seen in a theater since the last Harry Potter.
Which obviously is the first movie we've seen as a couple together.
Yeah.
Which I know a lot of you are like, wait, you guys are a couple for 8 years and you haven't been to a movie theater? No.
Nope.
No,
I don't watch movies.
No, she doesn't. I love movies.
He can watch movies all he wants.
Yep. So what we do is Crystal works on her ears for her Etsy shop. I put in a movie. I watch my movie. And she follows along and usually Googles what happens so she knows what's going on. It's fine. It works. I still get to watch movies.
It's not funny.
No, it is. I would much rather sit on the couch and watch a movie at home than go to a movie theater. So Rise of Skywalker is a different story because of how big of a movie it was. I wanted to see it in theaters. She herself came up with the idea of going to see it in the theater. So
it was really good.
It was good. She cried a lot.
The whole time.
Yeah.
That's another reason why I don't watch movies, though, is because
she cries.
I get so emotionally invested that
she cries a lot.
I cry. Like, we watched a Harry Potter the other day, and I had an incredible emotional reaction.
We're getting off track.
Okay.
She cried a lot.
I cried a lot.
Yep.
Question number 20.
What is the best part of going to Disney as an adult with no kids? Freedom. This is obviously before everything that's going on. But same thing still. We make our trip. We plan our trip. There's nobody else we have to plan for. Mm-hmm. So essentially, yes. Still freedom.
Yeah.
And finally, question number 21.
How do you think cruising will change once it starts up again?
I think cruising will not look anything like it looked before. From everything I've read and heard, there's not going to be any buffets. Even before cruising got canceled, Disney was already taking the plate from you and filling it. I think you're going to see something very similar to that. In fact, I've heard you're going to see something very similar to that. You're going to have to take a test before you get on the ship, I bet. And I think Crystal did a blog post about that because there's cruise lines that have already said that you have to. So pretty sure Disney's going to do that. And I think that puts a lot of people's minds at ease, knowing that everybody on the ship had to have a negative test to get on. You're not going to have fireworks. If you don't have fireworks in the park, you're for sure not going to have fireworks on a cruise ship for now, just because you can't separate. And I know this is sad to talk about. This is sad for people to hear. And this isn't 100% going to happen. This is just what I think is going to happen and what is out there on the internet that's going to happen. So it's all rumor until it's true. There for sure, won't be eating character greetings either.
That's the biggest bummer for me. And I think, and again, this is probably just for the near future. Like, I don't think that this is permanent.
No.
I 100% think that in the parks, in dining, in cruising, characters are coming back. We're going to be meeting with characters. We're going to get back to that. But we have a whole blog post about it. Like you said, we'll link it below so you can read all of the things that other cruise lines have announced. And there's a lot of things that the big cruise industry organization has announced will probably be mandatory. Ships will be sailing at probably 50%. It's just going to look a lot different for a while. And that's just the reality, is that everything looks a lot different for a while. And so that's just what we're going to have to deal with. If you want to cruise, you're going to have to, suffer through it. There will likely be masks required in spaces where you can't social distance. So there's just a lot that's going to change. But I do think that those changes are going to be temporary until we can get back to normal. But some of them are probably going to stick around. Like, I think buffets are gone. I don't think buffets are ever going to come back.
And Crystal's all for that because she's been grossed out by buffets her entire life.
Gross me out. I'm all about you taking my plate and filling it and handing it back.
We're all waiting to see what happens, just like you are. And you know what? Just like everything in life, if it's not for you, you don't have to do it.
Right.
If you don't like what's changing with cruising, I know it stinks, but you don't have to go until things are what you feel comfortable with. There it is. There is 21 questions, the Disney version, asked by you, our viewers, our followers. So thank you. We appreciate that. If you are looking for some food and wine inspired ears, or possibly some pumpkin spice latte inspired ears that are going to be hitting her shop soon, they're right there on her head. Make sure you go down below, click on that link for her Etsy shop, check it out. We would greatly appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, down below is the links to all of our social media platforms, the link to her blog, which has all your breaking Disney news, and click that subscribe button down below if you haven't done so yet.
Also, click that like button if you like what we're doing, and that bell notification so that you can be notified every time we release a video. Thank you for stopping by.
And for the love of the mouse,
Never forget
that it all started
with a mouse.
We only need